So the Arizona Cardinals plan to now trade DeAndre Hopkins. So the GM fired out, head coach fired out, star receiver leaving. If I was Michael Bidwill, this is probably, he's the owner, what I would do. Figure out somebody that can get along with Kyler Murray. I think it's what I do. We talked about this yesterday. It's not ideal, but it's what I do. There are certain things you have to do in certain industries. In college football, college basketball, if you want to be a top 15 program, coaching is important, so is being a salesman. Yeah. Got to suck up to 17 and 18-year-olds. Kind of gross. Pander, placate, over the top, total love, overlook flaws, immaturity. You have to be a salesman. I know, you didn't want to be. Nick Saban's like a great coach. But what really makes him a great coach is he's a great salesman. Really? That's it. Sometimes Lincoln Riley, Ryan Day, Jim Harbaugh. Going door to door. Want to buy this? Want to buy that? Michigan football, come on in. The bad news about the NFL becoming so quarterback-centric. You can't hit them. They make $50 million. They gobble up your cap space. Even B-level quarterbacks like Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins. Got to pay them. Big money. Rules all help the quarterback now. You are beholden, and this is not something you ever want to be in any business. You're beholden to one employee. Even Belichick, Brady. It's a 70-30 split. Brady's more important. But for the safety of the league and the viability of the sport long term, they don't want you hitting the quarterback. And every year there's seemingly another rule or regulation to limit how much a quarterback can get touched. Forget hit, just touched. Now, the good news is the 5 or 6 top quarterbacks in this league are adults, and they're committed. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Herbert, Josh Allen, they are great employees. They are all in the season, all in the offseason. They're great in the community. They're great in the room. They are awesome. You are beholden to them. Lots of people get fired if they leave. Yeah, Josh Allen leaves. Sean McDermott doesn't survive very long. Joe Burrow leaves, gets hurt. Zach Taylor doesn't survive very long. You are beholden to one employee. That's generally not a great business structure. And what happens, though, is also some of the great quarterbacks, two specifically, Aaron Rodgers and Kyler Murray. Yes, it's the same. A lot of ego, a lot of drama, kind of committed. Kyler Murray's on those video games reportedly. He's not all in during the week. Aaron Rodgers, ayahuasca, rehab trips. He's not available in the offseason. I know you don't think it's the same. It is. Too much drama, not enough commitment, a lot of ego, sort of needy. I mean, Devontae Adams left Green Bay. Why? He just didn't know if Aaron's going to stick around. Sort of a loss. Did you watch him this year? Kind of missed him. By the way, DeAndre Hopkins wants out. Larry Fitzgerald retired. Aaron and Kyler, maybe different players. It's a lot of the same stuff. So this, Tennessee, by the way, great coach, great defense, great run game. Irrelevant. Don't have a quarterback. Jacksonville has all sorts of issues. Got the quarterback. Got the quarterback. So the downside to this league, which is on fire, I got some data a couple of days ago on the ratings and the metrics for the NFL. Like the NFL, you can't even compare it now to any other sport in America. It is so much more popular. We watch it, we bet it, we talk about it, fantasy sports. It's not even close. It's like there's the NFL, then let's compartmentalize the other sports against each other. But this is the downside, is that overwhelmingly the young quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, Burrow, they're great. I mean, they're literally, if you have to depend on one guy, it's becoming a little bit like international soccer, Europe's biggest sport, right? International soccer, where the goal scorer, the Rooney, the Messi, the Ronaldo, you're beholden to them. I mean, the coach is basically at the discretion, the disposal of the whims of that game, that tournament, the whims of the superstar. If the superstar doesn't like the coach, you have to get a new coach. And that's where we are. Arizona, GM, gone. Coach, gone. Star receiver, gone. But in certain industries, there's certain things you got to do. And in college sports, you got to be a salesman. And in the NFL, got to take care of your star quarterback. The planet's got like 10 of them. Maybe 5. Bill Belichick met with Robert Kraft. I'm reading Tom Curran this morning, very good reporter, NBC in New England. It happened. There was no impasse. Basically, Kraft understands there's changes that needed to be made. Bill knows there's changes that needed to be made. But post-Thanksgiving, the Patriots were 2-5. Kraft, according to the story, did not have to persuade anybody. And as the story says, until 4:15 this weekend, the Patriots were a potential playoff team. What I think is fascinating about what happened to the Patriots, football to me is fascinating in that how can a brilliant football mind like Belichick have such a blind spot with offense? And I've got kind of a belief with it. So we have a decade now of proof. They have not drafted a Pro Bowl skill player since Gronk, I believe it is. You could look it up, but I think that's the drought. Wide receivers, multiple misses. N'Keal Harry over A.J. Brown. They took N'Keal Harry in the first round. He can't separate. They took Sony Michel in the first round over his teammate Nick Chubb. Chubb's unbelievable. They drafted 2 tight ends in the third round in 2020. Neither can play. One's on a scout team, one's a backup. So they just don't do it well. And we have, my theory is this, and I've used this comp before. In sports, nothing is more fluid than football. Every year, half the playoff teams don't make it. Guys get injured, runs get cut short. In baseball, just look at the salaries. You know who's making the playoffs and vying for it, and you know who's not. Look in the NBA. You knew the Celtics were going to be good this year. You knew if the Bucks are healthy. I watched them last night. You know they're going to be good. You know the Warriors will be good. The Clippers will be good at the end of the year. Like, you know some things. College football, we know who's going to be good. Tennis, golf, you know who's going to be good. Football's different. Half the playoff teams don't make it. And so Belichick has, for over a decade, he essentially gave the offense to Brady and Josh McDaniels. Now, he was never great in terms of sensibility with the offense, but he left it for a decade. He kind of gave it to Josh and Tom. And then Josh and Tom left. And it's almost like tech. If you took 10 years off from tech, if you worked at a post office and left for 10 years and came back, nothing really changes, right? But if you're in tech and you leave for 5 years, the world's different. In football, you leave. Joe Gibbs left for a decade. Joe Gibbs is a top 5 coach, 6 coach of all time. Remember that first year back, it felt clunky. He was a little out of touch. And so I think Belichick kind of surrendered offense to Brady and Josh McDaniels and built the best defense in the league and the best special teams and the best operation in the league. Offense was in the other part of the building, mostly. He let our guys run it. And he's a little out of touch because no league changes more. In the NFL, look at the rule changes offensively in the last decade. Look how the game is different. The middle of the field now, because of rule changes, is all offense. 15 years ago, the defense owned the middle of the field. Now the offense does. People use tight ends differently, H-backs differently, running backs differently. It's just a different sport offensively. And Belichick removed himself from it. So he's a brilliant guy, but it shows you that in football, nobody can do everything. Everybody's got a blind spot. Absolutely every great coach ever in football, maybe not in basketball and baseball. Maybe baseball managers, the great ones, no pitching, no hitting, maybe Buck Showalter knows everything. I don't know. Maybe Krzyzewski knows everything. But in football, they've all got a blind spot. There's just too much to know, too many layers. You have a hard cap. The game is changing culturally. The quarterback now means more. It's a lot. And for Belichick, smartest football coach arguably ever, he's got a blind spot.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.